It's a little after 7 a.m. and I'm heading into the desert in New Mexico, about 20 miles past a place called Truth or Consequences. The reason for that really early start is that we are going to get a very rare glimpse inside that. It bills itself as the world's very first commercial spaceport. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The only way that you can get to space today is with the Russians, and they're currently charging NASA around $80 million a ticket.
Spaceport America is the new home of Virgin Galactic, the company founded by billionaire Sir Richard Branson to take paying customers on 90-minute flights to the edge of space. The spaceport's exterior is the product of British architects Foster & Partners. Eventually, 5 spaceships and 2 carrier aircraft will reside in the hangar. Passengers will also receive 3 days training here before blasting off into the upper atmosphere.
And spaceship from base, you are go for L-10 on top.
It's also home to Mission Control, where all flight operations are monitored from. And this is the very first time that a TV crew has been allowed to film inside this room.
The winds are holding 160 at 10 knots, altimeter setting 3012.
Virgin Galactic has moved all of its operations to New Mexico from its original base in Mojave, California. The White Knight II mothership aircraft has already moved in and continues flight testing, but the actual spacecraft, dubbed Spaceship Two, will arrive at Spaceport America at a later date. The White Knight carrier aircraft is really performing a rehearsal for a real space flight. It's going to ascend to the altitude where it would normally release the spaceship, perform a few manoeuvres, and then come back round to land on this runway. Scotsman Dave Mackay is Virgin Galactic's chief pilot. He takes me for a drive along the spaceport's 2-mile runway.
This is something that I've wanted to do all my life. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to go to space.
Dave successfully completed a spaceflight earlier this year and has been awarded his commercial astronaut's wings.
Welcome to the club, astronauts.
Thanks, Space. I like this club.
What's the spaceship like to fly?
The spacecraft is amazing to fly. At launch, we're sitting underneath White Knight II. At release, it's like going over the top of a roller coaster, so you get this lightness in your stomach, which is nice.
1, release, release, release.
You haven't lit the rocket motor yet, so there's silence just for a few seconds. We light the rocket motor.
Fire, fire!
So we accelerate away. Within a few seconds, we go through the sound barrier, go Mach 1.
Great motor burn, everybody. We're going to space.
The sky goes from a blue to a very dark blue to black in what seems like, a few seconds. Immediately after shutdown, you're in weightlessness. At that point, we're going to allow the customers to unstrap. At the end of boost, you're there with no forces on your body, no motion because the vehicle is just sitting there, and no sound. Now we're coming back down in this feathered configuration. Now we're a glider, and we've got about 15 to 20 minutes of gliding to come back down and land at Spaceport. So different to really what I expected. I just, those are the words that came out of my mouth. This is unreal, it just seemed astonishing. The curvature of the Earth, that you see so much of it that you now get a sense of scale of the size of the planet. And in the meantime, you're looking out into this blackness of space and you can't help but think, well, what else is out there? I think something that a lot of people will take away with them after their spaceflight is how thin the atmosphere is and how important it is to look after it.
So far, over 600 people have signed up to take a flight with Virgin Galactic, with tickets costing £200,000. But at a time of increased concern about the environment, is it responsible to send wealthy people to space for fun?
Thank you, Richard.
Actually, the environmental impact, the CO2 impact of this vehicle is much less than you would think. By air launching it, and because it's so small and uses carbon fiber, we actually don't have a very big rocket motor in the back. And so the per person CO2 emissions is for the average flight around that of a business class flight from New York to the UK. There's an awareness of our planet documented scientifically with astronauts. They come back changed with a greater realization of the fragility of our ecosystem and ecosphere.
The irony of this idea isn't lost on space experts, though.
The fact that they have to go that far into space above the planet to have that emotion of feeling protective over the world that they live in is sort of ridiculous. But you have to put it into perspective of the fact that space travel is very limited in how much it actually contributes to CO2 emissions. Comparison to aircraft, it's a tiny fraction of what aircraft put out there.
There have been delays and setbacks for Virgin Galactic. In 2014, one of its spacecraft crashed during flight testing, resulting in the death of its co-pilot and serious injuries for the pilot. Dave Mackay acknowledges the time that testing is taking.
So if you look at military test programs, then the risk levels are different. We're building a safe, reliable commercial system. It's very, very different to anything that's been done before. But we still have some more flights to do with more people in the back. And once we've done a few more of those flights, we'll be ready to start commercial operations. So we're getting very close. It has taken longer than I guess we thought it would do initially, but I don't think, with hindsight, I don't think that's at all surprising.
On paper, space tourism can seem a bit frivolous, but we're moving into an era of commercialization of space travel anyway. Most government-funded experiments in space, either on the space station or probes to other planets, are going to be shipped out to commercial companies. And so furthering space travel in that sense is actually going to benefit from space tourism as well. So we have to take into account not just the impact of space tourism in the sense of our economy, but also the impact on the life-changing event that the people who will be on those planes will go through and the impact they'll then have when they return to Earth.
When do you think Virgin Galactic is going to be putting paying customers up into space? When is the date? When's that going to happen?
Right now, according to our current projections, we think that we can start commercial operations next year.
So the race is on. Space could be about to get a lot more crowded. For those that can afford the price of a ticket, of course.